Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy. Thy will be done. And as always, on Wednesday evenings, we have Rich Levinsky with us talking about consultants in the workplace. He's got a real good topic this evening. You want to stay tuned. By the way, I do welcome emails, suggestions, criticisms, whatever. Tony, Tony, at babich.com. What I wanted to address this evening is a couple of things that are very related. And this has to do with hiring managers out there. Please pay attention. The markets always change for talent. Things are never the way they were the last time you hired somebody, unless it was just a few months ago. And I would make a suggestion to most hiring authorities out there, and this relates a little bit about what we talked about last week in the last video session that we did of this, and that's to be more encompassing in your interviewing. You really can't tell much about a candidate by looking at a resume. Now, I will admit, if you're looking for a salesperson and you get the resume of an accountant, it's probably not likely that the candidate has the experience or the skills that you're looking for. But it's real hard to tell from looking at a resume what a candidate might or might not be able to do. Now, in general, you can look at one and realize if you're talking to a salesperson, an IT developer, an accountant, an attorney, an admin, okay, I'll give you that. But if you are in any way compelled to look at the resume and think, how might this candidate be able to do my job? Pick up the phone and call the candidate at worst case. Best case is to interview them. Now, I know I hear it from employers all the time. Well, I can't interview everybody. That's true. You can't interview everybody. I ran an advertisement on LinkedIn for a particular type of candidate. Well, bluntly, a candidate that would sell software to independent pharmacies. I got 275 resumes over this weekend, and not one of them came anywhere near close to having sold software to independent pharmacies. I still looked at every one of them. If the candidate comes close in any way, do yourself a favor and interview the candidate. Be inclusive in your interviewing process. Now, the key to this and what's important is you've got to ask every candidate exactly the same questions so you can compare the candidates. There are two things that sell: experience and personal drive, personal ability. You can't tell from a resume much about a person's ability and their personality. Some people can be very successful with a minimal amount of experience. Most employers ask for experience because they don't know what else to ask for. But there are lots of really good people out there that you can train in your job. Pick up the phone, worst case, and spend 15 or 20 minutes with the people that look reasonable. Be inclusive when you do it. Do more than less. In most normal situations, it takes an average of 10 to 12 candidates in order to hire one. 10 to 12 people that you actually interview in order to hire one. That's average. Now, If you get lucky, you might be able to do it on the first one or two. Most people don't like interviewing because they're uncomfortable with it. If you ask, and we've got these for you, we've got what we call interviewing guide sheets, initial interviewing guide sheets that we'll send you. Tony@babbage.com and just request it. You ask the same questions to every candidate so that you can get an idea of what the candidate is and what their abilities are and how they might fit your organization. That way, you remember the candidate over a 2 or 3 week period of time. And this is a big problem. You interview a candidate today, 2 weeks from now, unless you have specific exact notes on the candidate that compare to other specific notes on other candidates, you don't really remember that candidate. I had an employer yesterday where I asked him, what about Doug? We spoke to him a couple weeks ago. He said, Doug? And then when he was reminded of Doug by me, he said, oh yeah, we need to get that guy back in here. Now, I understand we're all human. Interview as many people as you possibly can, even if it is a brief period of time over the phone. Ask them all the same questions so you can compare. Because just because you might imagine that there might be a perfect candidate out there, there may not be. Most likely there isn't anybody perfect. Don't judge that much by the resume. If in doubt, pick up the phone, call them, find out what they might be about. Open up your ballpark and give yourself an opportunity to find some really great candidates. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashara with the Job Search Solution.